I have pretty well decided what the stand is going to look like, or maybe you want to call it the clock frame. And this is it. You can see it there in sort of yellow. And the dial ring is that round thing, and give you an idea of how big the stand or frame is going to be. And I'm going to be making this stand out of 2x4 studding because that's fairly cheap. I'm going to fasten the corners together using gussets. I won't be using bolts. I know it kind of looks like there's bolts there in the corners, but that's not actually what that is. Those are pegs that actually run right through, and the idea is the pegs will be fastened onto the dial ring so that I can adjust the dial ring in and out afterwards in case it's kind of warped out of shape. Anyway, got a lot of work here to do. That green thing in the middle, well, that's the pillow block, and that's what we're going to be working on today. Yeah, sort of like one of the viewers said, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. And this clock has a lot of bites. But you know, as I mentioned to one of the viewers yesterday in a reply, I'm beginning to see a light at the end of the tunnel. I do think this thing is actually going to be done by spring. I sure hope so. Okay, this 2x4 is a little bit twisted. It wasn't like that when I bought it, but that was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and it's a tiny bit twisted now. Now I've got a knot here, and I've got a knot here. Now these pillow blocks do not have to be to a specific length. I know I drew it out to 12 inches, but let's just check here. Okay, so if I avoid this knot, now which way does that run? It runs at a bit of an angle like this. So I guess I'll cut this side. Make sure I miss it. And then I'll cut the other piece from here to here. That way I'll have some nice clear spruce to deal with. Okay. Now as far as this end being square goes, it's pretty square. Studding is usually squared off on the end, and I am going to be sort of rounding the corners over anyway. At least that's the plan if I get ambitious. So let's just see what happens here now. Well, you know what I say about I show my mistakes. Well, it makes for fun videos. Anyway, because I forgot to allow for that knot, these pieces are this much shorter than they have to be, but I actually think they're probably a little longer than they have to be anyway. doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going to be able to cut that accurately anyway. Okay, so I don't want the hole right in the middle. I want it a little bit on the high side. And it doesn't have to be to any particular formula. So half of 10 1/4 and a little bit is 5 1/8 and a little bit less than a little bit. Be about there. Okay, I've got a jig rigged up here so that both of them will be the same height from here to the center. And the other day I was talking to somebody who watches my videos, and I was saying to him, or he was telling me he watched the video, and I said, "Oh, did you watch the whole thing?" And he says, "No." He says, "When I got to the drill press part, I'd seen you drill holes before." Yeah, I got to admit, I sometimes have a tendency to show that a little bit too much. Anyway, here we go. I'll try to do it a little faster this time. There's a little bit of tear out there. I wonder why that was. I would have thought that this board here would have stopped that, but that's alright. It's not going to be a thing of beauty anyway. Now, before I cut these corners off, and then probably pass this whole thing over the router table, kind of round over the corners, at least that's the plan. And especially before I saw this off, like I want this to pull apart. I'm going to saw it right through the dead center of that hole. I want to put aligning pins in. In other words, I want a pin mounted, fixed into the bottom half here, pointing up into a hole in the top half. And yeah, this drill bit is just a smidgen larger. And I think that'll work okay. Well, you'll see once it's done. What I'll be doing is I'll be probably using CA glue to hold the bottom of the nail down into this part here. At least that's the plan. Okay, perfect fit. Now I have to remember, don't glue those in before I cut this off. Okay, now I was planning on using these. I thought I had longer ones, but I must use them for something. So I suppose they could go back here and recess just a little bit. Or I could wait until I cut this off and then have them go like that. And then put the cap on. But then I was sort of thinking that the cap would help hold everything down. I'll just recess a little bit. That's enough thread. That's more than enough. It looks like just a little bit more than 3/16. Obviously I'm going to have a couple of goes at this. I'll drill it now as far down as I can, and then after I split it, and I'll do the bottom half the rest of the way. And once again, this doesn't have to be perfect here. And we'll just recess down about 1/4 inch. Well, I can fix this, but that is absolutely inexcusable. Well, I've got an excuse. I'm rushing. I've been invited out for supper tonight. And my second excuse is I'm obviously getting tired. Now I can fix it by putting a larger diameter round over on. But you know what, folks? That's going to have to be tomorrow. Yeah, we did pretty good today, except for all the stupid mistakes. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.